Hiya Thor, it's Miss Atkin. Today we are going to start our new literacy learning, but first we need to do our SPaG starter. So we are going to learn about conjunctions, okay? I just want you to think about what is a conjunction. Do you know what a conjunction is already? Can you remember? Just have a think about that. So a conjunction is a word that connects ideas within a sentence. They make one short sentence into a two-clause sentence. So they join sentences together to make it one longer sentence. There are different types of conjunctions. So there are coordinating conjunctions, which are the words used to connect two sentences that would make sense on their own. So it might be for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. So those are coordinating conjunctions. So it might be that your sentence is, I like to go to the zoo so I can learn about animals. Those two bits on their own make sense. So if I said I like to go to the zoo, that makes sense on its own. And if I said I can learn about animals, that also makes sense on its own. So we can join them together with one of these words. We also have subordinating conjunctions. These ones are used when the second clause, so the second part of the sentence, won't make sense on its own. So I could say, I like to learn about animals because they are interesting. If I said, I like to learn about animals, that makes sense on its own. But if I then said, they are interesting, it doesn't make sense on its own. So we have to use because to join it together so that it makes sense as a whole. Okay, so the second part didn't make sense on its own, so we use a subordinating conjunction. So, I have got a sentence here and I want you to see if you can spot the subordinating conjunction in my sentence. It says, the monkey in the zoo swung from the trees while the children watched and laughed. So, have a think, read the sentence again. You might want to pause the video so you can have a think and point out where my subordinating conjunction is. My subordinating conjunction is while, because if I read this bit of the sentence, the monkey in the zoo swung from trees, that makes sense on its own. If I read this bit, the children watched and laughed, that doesn't make sense on its own. So we use our subordinating conjunction to make the whole thing make sense. Right, now we have got your chili challenges. So pause the video here and choose your challenge. You need to underline the conjunction in the sentence. So you'll need to write out the sentence into your book and underline the conjunction. So pause the video so you've got time to do that. Now I want you to write your own sentence with a conjunction about this picture. So there's the conjunctions at the bottom here, so you can pause the video again. And there's all the different conjunctions you could use on the screen. So you might use but, or so, or if, or although. So have a go at choosing one of these conjunctions and writing a sentence with it, making sure that your sentence makes sense. Okay, so moving on to our literacy learning. This week we are going to look at if zoos are a good place for animals or if they are not. So we're going to be having a bit of a debate soon. So what do you already know about zoos? Just have a think for now. Have you ever been to a zoo and what was it like? If you haven't, you might want to watch a virtual tour of a zoo. If you look on the blog, I will have put a link to a video where you can watch a tour of a zoo, so you can have a look at it at the end of this lesson. So just pause the video now. You might want to talk to your grown-up about what you already know about zoos. So we are going to be writing a debate about zoos at the end of this learning, so in a few weeks' time. So we're going to be looking at if zoos are good or zoos are bad, and we're going to be looking at the two viewpoints. So the purpose of this writing will be to debate and to persuade. Okay, so that is what we are going to be working towards. But first, our learning objective for today is to research. Today, we are going to focus on the research for having zoos, so they are good places. So that's what we're looking at today. Have a think. Why do you think zoos might be a good place? Why might they be good for animals? So pause the video and have a think. You might want to write down some ideas or speak to somebody about it. But why do you think zoos might be a good thing? What I want you to do now is pause this video, go onto the blog and click the video that looks like this. So it's zoos, helpful or harmful. And I want you to watch that video, and while you watch, I want you to think about what they say that zoos are important for. So why do they say that zoos are important? So pause this video, go and watch that one and think about those things, and then come back when you have watched it. Once you have watched that video, this is your next task. So you should have this text in your pack, and I want you to read the text and then highlight the arguments for zoos. So should they be kept open? So why do they say they are a good thing? So you can read through the text and do it on your own, or I am going to read it on the next flip and go through it all together. Some of you might have a slightly different text, but they generally say the same thing. So, should we have zoos? Zoos are very popular and becoming increasingly more so, and have been around in one form or another for over 100 years now. Originally, zoos' conditions were poor and animals were treated badly, yet they have grown more suitable for both humans and animals, though many people still question if it's right to be doing this to animals. The most critical reason as to why zoos should be kept open is that they can prevent extinction of certain animals. So that's a reason for having zoos, a reason zoos are good. In the wild, animals can be hunted and eaten by any predator that could threaten their existence. All animals in zoos can be cured easily if they fall ill. So if they're in the zoo, they can be treated and can be fed healthier food. So there's two reasons why zoos are good. Many zoos provide a good home for their inhabitants, especially those who may need rehabilitation when injured in the wild. Rehabilitation is when they look after them and care for them and get them much better than they were before. It can be argued that without rehabilitation, many animals would otherwise suffer and die without zoos intervening and offering their help. So zoos help animals. Now, in the 21st century, the cages can be modified to suit the animal. So cages suit the animal or the animal's needs. Twycross Zoo, as an example, they recently spent over £20,000 on redesigning their monkey and gorilla sanctuary. This investment has enabled the animals to thrive. The animals can thrive. Their natural habitats, which are in decline for a variety of reasons, cannot guarantee protection. So natural habitats don't guarantee protection, whereas a zoo can ensure species survival. So zoos give animals a guaranteed protection, but their natural habitats don't. Additionally, zoos can be great fun for humans and can also teach them more about animals. Teach them more about animals, that's a good thing. Some people believe that zoos are educational. They teach children about many, often endangered animals that they would rarely get to see in the wild. So they teach about endangered animals. For instance, it would be very difficult to see a tiger in the wild, to see it in front of your very eyes. At the local zoo, one could get really close experience and experience it firsthand. As a result, people learn about a variety of animals, how to care for them, what they eat, and what they need to survive, and how to appreciate their beauty. So there's lots of reasons there as to why zoos are good. In conclusion, I personally think zoos should be kept open. They can keep animals healthy, feed them when they need food, and stop their extinction. Animals that live within zoos often have extended lifespans compared to animals in the wild. That means that they live longer. This has to prove how zoos benefit animals. I would like the next generation to be able to see animals as we see today in zoos and ensure that no other animals have to become extinct. Will we be able to guarantee the preservation of all species for the future in the wild? I feel that zoos are the safest, easiest and supportive way of ensuring the continuation of all animals. So after reading through that, we have got lots and lots of ideas about why we should have zoos. So what you need to do is, with your text that you have in front of you highlighted or underlined with all the reasons, you need to make notes in your book on the key arguments for zoos. You might want to use ideas from the video as well that you watch at the zoo. You could set it out like this as a brainstorm, so you need to have your date and your learning objective. Don't worry if this is further down your page because you've got your SPaG work at the top, that's fine. So then you can have the title, Reasons for Having Zoos, and make a list. Or you might have it in a brainstorm, so the reasons for having zoos in the middle, and then put your ideas around it. So that is your task now. If you want some more ideas, there are some on the next slide. So pause this video and have a go first, and then come back and you can use some of the ideas that I will have put on. So here are some more ideas you might use. So if you've not got these written down, you could write them down as I go through them. Or you might have some of them already. So animals are safe in a zoo. Zoos help to protect endangered animals. People can watch or see different wild animals. Animals can easily be cured if they are ill. Zoos help animals who are suffering. The wild could be dangerous for some animals. People can learn about different animals. Animals get fed healthier food. Animals get a good home at the zoo. Some animals have a longer lifespan in a zoo. And zoos prevent extinction. So there's some more ideas. You might have already got those, or you might want to add a few more to your notes. Once you have done that and you think you're finished with your research, with your reasons why zoos are good, this is your final task. So you need to write a sentence about your opinion of the zoo. So after what you've learnt today, do you think the zoos are a good place for animals, and why? So in my opinion, zoos are a good place for animals because they get fed healthier food and they could live longer. So that might be what I write. So you need to write your sentence, and then that is you done for this literacy lesson. So I hope you've had a good lesson. If you get stuck, don't forget to email us and we will respond as quickly as we can.